Afternoon YouTube, it's Sunday the 8th of July. Time to take a look at some Forex charts for the coming week. So let's jump onto the dollar index to start with. So last week I was looking at price potentially testing the 94 level, which if we have a little zoom out, I'll say zoom in, zoom out, price now has really pushed down into this level. So let me just get rid of this fib. What's more important is the price is pushed down to this structure here, here. So where this resistance basically becomes support. So that's interesting because either price will reverse from this level. So we'll just get rid of this. Get rid of some of this. Yeah, we could see some reversal from this level, or we could see a further push down to sort of the 93.30 level. So possible push right down to the 50 EMA on the daily. On the 4 hour, what have we had going on here? So in respect to that 14, we've just pushed down past the 200, but again, looking at what structure we've got there on the dollar, this is it's almost no man's land, really. We have got some structure here. So what do I think the dollar index might do? If price comes up and retests, we could see some further bearish action down to 93, to be honest. We've got almost, what have we got setting up here? Which is just jumping out at me. Okay, so we've got a potential back forming on the dollar. So we've had price come down, hit the 50. We've not touched the 618. We've pushed back up. Price is not broken above the highs here. We've tested it. We've not broken down. And now the 886 would put us back in line with these lows here. So that's interesting. So, you know, potentially a further push down to this 886 level first before a move up, and that would give you this sort of back pattern formation on the dollar index, which would have something like this. So we'll leave that in place just to see what happens next week and see if that plays out and then bounces from that level. Style, I just want a bit thicker. There we go. So yeah, I think we could see a bit more of a push down and then see a push up. So that means that there could be further upside then in the short term for the euro dollar, which, again, last week I was looking at a retest of 17,200 level here. So this actually could translate into a possible, let's take some measurements. Again, I think we might see a bit of a further push up to retest this structure here. Let's just highlight this structure. So we've got this sort of zone, okay, where we've got the wicks pushing down, wicks pushing up. But what's jumping out at me, having looked at the dollar index now, is this. So I just want to take a measurement and see. Ooh. So, I mean, the 886 would put us there. Let's go down to the 4 hour and see if we can get some better measurements. So, we've got this spike here. We've got this low here. I mean, it's a close one. I mean, some people's rules of a back pattern would say that price can push. I still say it's a valid pattern. It's not broken the 618. I know a lot of people say if price pushes up and touches 618, it's invalidated. If it breaks, it's invalidated. But what I'm seeing is a bit of confluence with this area here. So we'll just do a different, let's do pink, just so it stands out. We've got a bit of confluence. So if you look at this whole zone here and, you know, the 886 falls within this sort of area of these highs. So I think what we will see is something along the lines of this for the dollar. So we're going to have the completion of this potential bat at the 886. Let's just remove some of these irrelevant fibs. Okay. So that's where I think price could push first. It's a strong level of structure, so I think there's more upside to come, just because of how the dollar index is playing out as well. So again, with the dollar index, if this is pushing lower, pairs against the dollar will be going the opposite way. So in the short term, at least, I think that we can see a push down to this sort of 93, what's that, 93.46 on the dollar index, which means we could see a push up, a little bit further push up to this 18, what, at least 18,100 level for certain. What that means for where price should then go for the rest of the week, well, if we're looking at possible targets, if you trade this type of thing, again, I don't trade this pair, I'm just looking for where I think price might be heading. So first stop would be a push down to the 382, which again would put us down in this structure, and then a further push down to the 618, which again would put us down into the structure around here. So that'll be interesting to see. So I think short term, bit of a push up. Overall though, on the daily, let's just zoom back out to the daily, we could see a push back down, which again on the daily, 618 would put us down towards these. I mean, I'm not saying it will stop there. I mean, it could push lower, because as you can see, overall on the daily, we've been very bearish. Price is almost ranged, and this is where you find these advanced patterns when price is ranging. So we've got, let's change that back to blue. Obviously, the lower price zone here. So I think we'll test the top of the zone and at least test if price respects this level, of course. So we've got this pink level here. If we respect this zone, then I think there's some downside to come. So that'll be interesting to see what happens on the euro. I'll tell you what we'll do actually, because every week I come to these pairs to have a look, and because I don't typically trade, the only pair I'm trading is this one, the Japanese, the pound against the Japanese yen. So all these others, it's just more a case of just to practice my analysis and just really see what's going on. So let's tell you what we'll do. Each week, I think for me, just for my own sake, is to put in, we'll just pop this here as well, just put a little Stink FX, just in case you see this, Stink FX, pop up, actually lowercase. Oh, so warm here in the UK. We'll put the Stinks, the Stink FX, my Twitter handle, on the chart as well, just so we know that if this happens, I called it right. So let's just copy that, and we'll just put in a quick idea. So we'll just publish that, Euro USD, possible bat completing, possible bat. And that, I'll make this private. I don't tend to share too much of my ideas. We'll leave it neutral. Boom, boom, boom. Trend analysis. Happy days. Just so we've got an idea on there, and we'll see what happens. So that'll do that. Happy days. So at least we can come back. We can play it next week, and we can see what happens. So we'll just close that down. So if we're thinking that the euro dollar is going up, there's a possibility then that the USD CAD could be pushing down first before a further move up. So last week, I was looking at a possible 2618, double top here. I was saying the 31 flat level, which let's just put in a, let's just get rid of some of this crap. 30 of the 1.31 flat. I thought we might have pushed up into structure, but obviously price has just pushed down. So let's have a little look. 31 flat is there. So price is pushed down, and on the daily at least, you can see we're sort of dipping down, testing this level. So if I think price is going to push lower, where do I think it could push lower to? Well, first thing is this area here. So I'm just going to put a little key level zone in here. So that will put us down the 3150 area on the 4 hour. See, we've pushed just below this 200. So again, been creating some lower highs, pushing down, lower highs, pushing down. And, you know, this on the 4 hour, obviously got the daily structure here. So there's a chance that the, I guess, 130, 300 level could be tested, or the 3150. So I think there might be a push down first, then we could see a move up. I mean, the 130, the 30, 150 does put us right down to structure. So that'll be interesting to see. And from a daily perspective, I don't know, because last week I was taking a fib measurement off the lower moves, but that could be a 382 move from the lows here. So let's do a quick little measurement. What have we got going on? So, okay. Back into structure, yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I think the 130, 150 area will be interesting to watch, just to see then a move back up into this structure here. So if we take a measurement from here, so the 618 then is just below this area. So let's go back down to the 4 hour. So I still think that if we can bounce off of here, draw this back in, because obviously on the daily there's a bit more of a double top, we'd push down into here, and then that would put us back up here before another possible retest. But it'll be interesting because again we're right down at the 200 EMA at the moment, so price could just bounce from this level. But again, we will put a quick little stamp and we'll see what happens. Again, I don't know if any of you tend to trade the USD CAD, but no, it doesn't stink effects. Right, we'll pop that there. So I'm saying we're possibly going to hit the 3150, then there's a good chance that price could push back up to here. So from a price range point of view, that means that price would need to push down about 70 pips, and then from 70 pips you'd be looking more a good sort of 200 pip move up. So that would be 230, give or take. Stops would be around the 29,450 or 400 if you want to be a bit more conservative, but that'll be a good trade if that came through. So again, we'll just do a quick little snapshot here, post the idea. We can come back to that next week, and at least we can USD CAD possible 2618. Okay, we'll just publish that and we can shut that down. Trend analysis. Okay. So good, that's in there. So we can come back to that. We'll see what happens. Euro Aussie. So last week I was thinking that, again, I was saying that price was really sort of ranging on the 4 hour. We were looking at the 4 hour because, again, we've been coming up. I mean, obviously last week we can see there's been a bit of a push. And I think the zone we had last week was this zone here. So as you can see, price has really, because we were looking at the sort of area around here. So we had, what we were looking at was this these tops here. Because I was saying that the 157,200 to 1.58 flat was a good area. So obviously we've broken the 158 flat. Let's just change that. So that's 158 flat at the bottom. So that's where I was expecting price to come up to. So what's happened last week? Price did push up, and what we started to do now is create some higher lows even. Get that round the right way. So we're still pushing higher. Obviously, you can see here from all these wicks have been sort of the strongest area. I mean, look at that. It's just really been pushing. Did try to break, push in. Did try to break, push in. So we're above the 200. We've got price bopping around the 14 EMA at the moment. So let's just quickly zoom out to the daily again. So where could price go? So let's just measure what we've had so far, because what you've got to remember is you've got to always look at the, I mean, you could have a bigger 2618. Just want to see where prices come. So we've pushed up into the 618 area on the daily. So let's go to the weekly. And okay. So, you know, on the weekly, we're really back up at sort of structure here. Obviously, we've had some real strong pushes. But as you can see from these levels, on what, 3 occasions at least, we've pushed down, we've pushed down. So I think, you know, if we start to see closes above the 6200 level, 1.6200 level, that's a good chance. But you could see that price maybe have pushed up, and we could have maybe a pullback from this level, because there's a wick on the weekly candle. You can see price has pushed up, and we've closed below last week's wick. So as with the other euro pair, I'm expecting a bit of a push up, then downside. On the euro Oz, let's just pop in the 127 and the 1618. Just see where these line up. Okay, so I would probably think if price were to respect this level and to push down, that there's a better chance of hitting the 51 flat, 1.51 flat. Obviously, you could have a stronger push down again at the 48,900 level, which again would put us back in a lot of structure. And again, this pair is quite volatile, like the pound yen. So what would the risk reward be on this particular pair? Well, from this level, you'd have a 400 pips stop if you're being sensible for, what's that, 700, just under 2 to 1. I think you'd need to wait for price on the 4 hour to really tell you what's going on. So let's go into the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, so that's on the obviously the weekly. So what we have had though is something like this. So we've had push up, reject, push down. We've created lower highs. So let's just look at a more conservative. I mean, obviously a longer term way. You could look there. So I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to see a 618 rejected here. Okay, we've come up to the 618. So ideally, I think in and around this area is when you would have entered the trade, because again, I always look for this golden ratio inversion, which would put us down here. So short term, I think we could see something like this. And I'll tell you what we'll do on this particular pair. Let's just put a short position in. So I would say from the open, wherever that is, there's a good chance that, you know, if you put your stop, and we'll say whatever that is, we'll put stop 10 pips above recent highs. So 10 pips up will give us a stop of, we'll say 96. So 96 pips stop. Okay. And the 127, I'll tell you what, we'll go for 1618. 56, we'll go 56,400. Nice and even. 56,400. So that would give us a 96 pip stop for 164 risk reward. So, you know, 164 pip reward. So just shy of 2 to 1, but still, just from what I've seen on the larger time frames, I think there's a better chance of that happening. So I could be wrong, but you never know. These are the things that you've got to look at. And with any trades that you put on, you've got, it's about the probability of what will happen. And I think looking at the daily, looking at the weekly, looking at the 4 hour, what's going on, the probability is that we'll see some downside before we see further upside, if we see any further upside at all. Because from this level, price has typically dropped and gone down. So you're also, again, this will be a good one to look back next week. If I can spell, probably help. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we'll just put here short. Okay, publish that. We can come back next week and see. Okay, that's that one. So last but not least, the pound yen. Now, last week, my trade that I put on, I think, a couple of weeks ago, got stopped out for break even. So price, I got in at 146,600 initially. So what happened was I got in at 146,600. Just go back, 146,600 flat. So I think I got in on this spike here. I think it was this candle, this daily candle here. Price pushed down and hit the 127, not the 1618. And then price proceeded to reverse and take me out for break even. So I got stopped out. My thoughts were still very bearish. On the 4 hour, so let's just go over what we've seen. So obviously price pushed down, created a higher low, or lower high even. Oh, we're getting this right. Lower high, push down, push back up. We've almost got there. So that's 127. So you could say there's a cipher pattern forming here. So let's just do a quick fib measurement from here, because you'd have boom, boom, boom. Because I am in a short trade again. So we've got a 618 there. Okay. 618. That's a good retracement. And what you've got is this, which I didn't realise till now, but we've had a cipher pattern set up. So we've had the cipher pattern, boom, boom, boom. So, you know, something around there. But, you know, the pattern, depending on what your rules are, there's something in there. Now, I got back into this trade. Let's have a little look. If I just go back here. I just published. But I'm still got a short. Here we go. Trade 1 of July. First trade of July. So I said price push back up to the 200 EMA on the daily. Still in a bearish momentum. Entry is waiting for a 618 pullback on the 1 hour chart. Target is daily. So it's a 50 pip for 460 risk. Again, I set an order for this to be filled. So when this was happening, we can see the price pushed up and we're back in structure. So it's only a 50 pip stop. That's my strategy. That's my rules. You know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'd rather be wrong at 50 pips than put my stop here and have like 250, 300 pip stops. You know, I'm happy to wait and see what happens. If price pushes up here again, there's probably a better probability of taking another short there, because depending on what's going on. But for the moment, I'm currently in a short position here and I've got a lower target. So on the daily, I'm looking at the 143 level still, I think. Or is it? No, actually, it's a bit lower than that, because I'm measuring this. So I think, yeah, 141, 800, which again puts us down at this sort of a lot of structure down here. You can see the wicks, So, you know, it's a good risk reward. 50 pips for 460. So I'm still bearish on the pound yen. Obviously, again, we've pushed down, lower high, push down, lower high, push down, lower high, push down, lower highs, coming up to the 50 EMA now, back into structure again. This is the only reason I've got this trade on, is because there's a lot of more information. This is what you've got to remember, is what else can the chart tell you. So, you know, if I'm wrong, well, we'll see. Might be able to catch some upside momentum, but we'll see what happens down there. That's all for this week on the Forex pairs. Again, it's just the dollar index, Euro USD, USD CAD, Euro Aussie, and the pound yen. If there's any pairs that you would like me to look at, you can message me on Twitter at StinkFX, or comment on this video and I'll happily take a look. These are just pairs that over the last couple of years I've tended to look at rather than the normal pairs that people look at. But again, we'll see what happens. Obviously, we've got a few ideas now that we can, at least next week, we can play them. We'll see what happens, see if I was right, see if I was wrong. If I was wrong, we can see or try to figure out what I missed or what we could have looked at that would have indicated that something had happened. So in the meantime, if you enjoyed the video, please like it, please share it, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see how this week plays out. Fingers crossed my pound yen trade continues as it is for the first trade of July, and we'll catch up next week. But have a nice Sunday, and I'll see you again.